Hey guys, welcome to the show. It is Cooper. This episode of the podcast being brought to you by TechNet. Now, TechNet is a nationwide network of automotive repair shops. So if you get work done at a TechNet shop in Carbondale, PA, you've got support across the country, even into Canada, eh? They think us Wisconsinites sound like Canadians, but we really don't. So if you run into trouble with your vehicle, just call up the TechNet hotline or hit up their website, and you get directed to a TechNet member shop near you. And there's over 9,600 of them. It's called the TechNet Nation. TechNet shops provide customers with dependable service backed by a nationwide warranty for at least 24 months or 24,000 miles, a roadside hazard tire protection plan, a roadside assistance plan, and much more. They call it Competence Delivered. For more information and to find a TechNet member shop in your area, hit up members.technetprofessional.com or find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's TechNet.
Welcome to Cooperville.
Do you know what's fun to do in Cooperville? Pack up your shit and get the fuck out!
Listen. www.welcometocooperville.com. Who the fuck says www anymore? I can't even say it. www. Stop that. The Welcome to Cooperville podcast. On demand anywhere quality podcasts are available. And some places where cheap podcasts are available.
At the local gas station has some.
Subscribe, get updates, feel better about your life. Welcome to Cooperville.com. Check one, check.
Welcome to Cooperville! Make sure you use a coaster. The wife gets upset when we leave rings on the tables.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages. Well, not all ages. This is probably going to be an 18-plus episode, at least. Maybe 21. Maybe 21 or over only on the Welcome to Cooperville podcast here. Episode number 2. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are, of course, available at welcometocooperville.com and where all fine podcasts are sold. And my debut guest on the Welcome to Cooperville podcast was probably the man that was most excited about my new adventure. Everybody else I talked to and I said, well, I got fired from radio. What are you going to do now? And if I had no job in radio, I'm like, no, I'm going to start a podcast. Well, what are you going to do for money? I'm like, I don't know yet. I'm going to do a podcast. But Phil Norvold, who I've known for several years now, owner, proprietor, operator, chief, head honcho, El Capitan of Max Bilt Off-Road and Manufacturing here in Eau Claire. We met last Friday.
Not for the first time.
For the first time. We ran into each other at a bar. Go figure. It's 11 a.m. Let's have beer. Good idea. It worked out well. Now, we met a couple of years back working on a project for my former radio station. And, we had an old Suburban. And to be honest with you, like you... Not that you weren't the first person that we called, but, we went down, our sales folk went down the list of clients that they'd worked with in the past, and they were like, we've taken this 1995 Chevy Suburban to everybody in town, and they said, no, this thing needs to be probably taken out back. It would be a nice home for some small animals. I bet some birds could find some nests here.
I think they did.
Yeah, they're probably still living there actually, but I can't confirm or deny that. But we went out with kind of a half-crocked idea to Phil and his gang over at Max Bilt, and they created the monster that became the Suburban Assault Vehicle. Now Phil and I's relationship had kind of became more than just, hey, let's do some cool shit to this piece of shit vehicle. Let's hang. So we drank beers and ate beef sticks, which sounds like it's probably PG-13 at least.
Yeah,
but
it sounds like Wisconsin.
It was very innocent at first, but we met last Friday, and I dropped Phil my future plans, and you were excited, and that really made me feel good about me.
Well, good.
It really did.
Yeah.
You brought me up to a next level because everybody else was like, oh well, good luck. But you were like jacked, man, and that excites me. It excites me when people get excited about things.
Well, I think the big thing is, sometimes you got to take a risk, and I don't know how many ideas that I have that I think that are good, and everybody else says are not good, but
but you do them anyway.
Yeah, well, because it was the idea, and you just got to see it through. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when you told me that you were going to do a podcast, it was like, oh, well, yeah, dude's good. he's gonna figure it out because this is what I feel like are designed for.
I am.
It's perfect.
It's hanging out in my basement, drinking beer with a bottle of Proper 12 in front of me just in case things go haywire later.
Yep.
And my kid's sleeping upstairs, and Phil and I are going to talk. We're just going to talk about things. I think that's, one of the things I didn't get a chance to really get into in the first episode of the podcast is this. There's no formatics to what we're doing. I don't have a script for the show. We don't have really much of an outline. It's it's talking to people about life and how they got into their careers and family and marriage, if your wife allows you to, which I can't. I found out that that's like off the table. Like, you can talk about anything else you want, you just leave me out of it. No, my wife's great. Been supportive of this whole project since it started, but it's amazing to me, and it always has been, because I didn't grow up in I don't want to say like an automotive family. My dad worked construction my whole life, so he would go out and build houses and build businesses and stuff like that. My mom was a dietitian, so like when we needed shit done, like we called somebody, I remember like somebody lifting up the hood of a vehicle, and it was probably my grandfather who did all that stuff,
Right.
And it was like, yeah. So when are you going to call the guy? Because I don't even know. Like, can you change your oil? I'm like, no, but my grandfather taught me to change a tire, and apparently that was all I needed to know.
Right.
But I'm guessing when you get into, Max Bilt does. I mean, you guys do everything. There's a focus on there's a Jeep aspect, there's a lifted truck aspect, there's a lowered vehicle aspect, there's maintenance aspects, there's oil changes and tire. I mean, kind of run the gamut of things that you can do. And we'll get into kind of more about the Max Bilt empire as we build it.
That's what I like to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But did you grow up in that kind of environment? Were you around vehicles and off-road stuff your whole life, or did you kind of fall into a pit at one point and someone had to drag you out and you're like, that'd be cool?
Right. Pretty much. I mean,
somebody had to tow you out of a gravel pit somewhere, and you're like, oh, this looks like I should be this guy.
It's funny, before the podcast when we were hanging out and watching your boy, kind of like the way his mind works, gears are turning. He's curious. He's inquisitive. He's wondering how things work. That's how I was brought up. My dad, he changed oil. The occasional spark plugs. If money was tight, he figured out ways to fix things. Like small engine lawnmower. Man, we had lawnmowers. Like they were going out of style. He would collect them. Like
because you never know.
Yeah, he'd be driving out town and go past a dumpster, and he knew like the angle of the handle when it was sticking out just over the crest of the dumpster. That's a lawn boy, and so he needed to go get it, and he wanted to bring it home.
Shadow.
So and he'd make him work again, but like he was he was a salesman by trade, but nights and weekends were home improvement projects and working in the garage, and I worked a lot side by side with him. He'd have his workbench, and then like he'd let me take apart a watch or something, and then I'd be like, "Oh, Dad, well, it worked, but now it doesn't."
Oops. Sorry. I hope this wasn't expensive.
Yeah. I said, well, yeah. What is Rolex? What's that? Anyways,
sounds French. It gave up.
But so like, I grew up out on the East Coast, and that was the majority of my time out there. And even like through school, and I was not much of an athlete. I did some cross country stuff because like that was it. Just
let me make a note of that, because there is something I want to bring up later about the sports. Hang on, there we go. Sports. Right. Okay, I think you were at not an athlete. That's where we left off.
Yeah. Did some of that cross country stuff where they said just run until you see a thing that says finish. Got it. But when my parents split up when I was 15, I think. I don't know. It was all blur. But my mom and I moved back to Wisconsin. I wanted to move back up north where she grew up in Wascott. And she said, well, we can move anywhere in the country but there.
Now, Wascott, that's like up past Minong, isn't it?
That's
it's
in the middle of nowhere. And by middle of nowhere, I mean literally middle of nowhere.
Yeah, because when we used to go up to my in-laws had a summer cabin they would rent out for a week up there.
Yep.
And they did it on Little Sand Lake for like, since my wife was knee-high to a grasshopper, they'd always go up there. And I remember making that turn off of 53, into Minong, and you're in beef jerky land. Anybody? Jack Lanks, anybody? Yeah, that is all up there. And I knew that you're in the middle of nowhere, like you're talking about in Wascott, because there's a dude playing a banjo.
Oh yeah.
At that corner gas station. I'm like,
and people think he's good.
Well, and I asked if we were filming Deliverance 2. I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Like, is Burt Reynolds going to show up? Like, and weird stuff's going to happen. But that's up north. Yeah, that's up north.
And so when I told him out, because summers and stuff, like, we'd spend a lot of time. We'd fly back, or drive back, or whatever, teleport. Spent a lot of time with my grandma's up there, and sure, it was a place of like, you center yourself, whatever, yada yada yada. When you're a teenager and you don't really know the world, but you think you do, you're like, no, I think that's where I need to be. And my mom's like, nope, that's not where you need to be.
You are wrong, sir.
I'm your mother and I'm right. And you're like, whatever. But she was. And so she said, but we can go to Eau Claire. And I said, all right. So move back here. And I ran into a buddy. His name was Aaron. He's like uber redneck, farm kid. Like that whole like mentality really like struck with me because everybody was honest. If they didn't like you, they'd punch you.
That's how we say hello around here.
And you knew where you stood. And that was pretty cool for me. And then back to that whole like mechanical mindset. It was the tech ed classes and wood shop and metals but automotive just like I think I was the only kid. I had a 77 Ford truck my senior year, and I was in the I don't remember what they called the class, but where I got to hang out in the auto shop most of the day and not have to go anywhere
not
else.
doing anything else. Right. It's called skipping algebra. That's
got
what it's
it.
called. Like,
yeah.
Math? No, I don't need that shit.
And so, I think I was the only kid. I brought the truck in. We ripped it down to the frame, started sandblasting and grinding the frame, painting it back, and I just told my teacher, I'm going to rebuild this. Like every time I started taking something apart, it was dirty, so I'll just clean it. And then, this part underneath it's dirty, so I'll just clean that. And then pretty soon, there was 2 pieces of steel that were the frame, and then the whole shop was just exploded with parts. And I was like, all right. I will say that truck never ran again in my care.
Oh man, I was hoping that had kind of a Cinderella ending to it.
Yeah, no,
and
definitely
then we put
didn't.
it all back together. And I still have it to this day. Yeah. No, that shit didn't happen.
No, this is called the real world. That kind of opened my eyes into this stuff's really fun. Mm-hmm. So then I went to tech school, and I was like, I'll do the auto body program because my buddy Aaron, he did it, and I was like, I don't know, he seems to have his head on his shoulders. I'll do that because I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. So I did that, and then I've failed miserably because I did the whole thing as I did in high school too, where do I really need to go to the academic classes? I don't think so. They're suggestions, right? And they weren't.
Apparently they're mandatory.
Yeah, I guess you need that. So after I failed out of auto body, and during that time, my dad had gotten back in touch with me, and he said that he had a 1985 CJ7, which he still has to this day. And he said, hey, you probably need a class project, and I've always wanted this Jeep. Maybe you could repaint it for me. Well, the thing about those Jeeps and for what my dad, a lot of my buddies could afford in that time frame, they were pieces of shit. You could throw a football through the side of them. Just rusted out, just junk. Yeah. We got it into the shop, started fixing it up. My buddy did a lot of really great work. There's a lot of times where I was just taking naps underneath it from the creeper because, I'm a marketing guy, and I was really a lot more social times in the evenings. So I'd take my days to rest up for the meetings in the evenings.
Well, that's just good business planning. I mean, you got to know when you got to be at your best.
Exactly. Yeah. And so,
daytime underneath the vehicle, this seems like a good time just to rest. Feel safe here.
So we put that thing together, and I swore the Jeeps out. I was like, fuck these things. They're junk. Never in a million years.
Right.
And then then I drove it. Cruising downtown, Water Street, College Town. Jamming to tunes. The chicks seemed to dig it. Oh yeah, that's right. I was with my wife at that time. But
no,
My chick digged it.
Yeah, she loved it.
Yeah,
still does to this day.
Absolutely. And so I was like, oh well, I guess I need to get one. So sold everything I owned. I netted about $150.
And about some lug nuts.
Yep.
It was the start of a beautiful relationship with you and Jeeps. Yeah.
Well, and then my buddy Adam, who's my right hand man at the shop, I was working with him at Napa at the time, selling some parts, and he found an ad for an old Jeepster Commando. He's like, oh, let's go check it out. So we went to go check it out. Dude's name was Howard Wangan. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. Well,
algebra? No. Howard Wangan. Got you, dude. I got you.
And so we went up to Howard's house, drank a shit ton of beer, made a deal for Adam's Jeep, and well, let me get that story right. I found an old Jeep. We went up there to look at that Jeep. Adam found his Jeep. Drank a ton of beer with Howie. Then also the Jeep that I came to look at, I saw the Jeep Howie was driving, needed that one instead. That was way out of my budget. So then that truck that I put together that never ran, I said, well, Howard, I got a truck for you. Let me tell you. I got about $150 and this 1977 Ford Highboy. It's going to be great. No, there's no title, but we'll figure that out later.
Semantics, my friend.
Yeah.
Semantics.
You don't need that. And so then I got I worked a deal magically and got an 82 CJ7, and that's kind of what got me into this whole mess that is the Jeeps. And I mean, it truly is a culture. Sure, I got into the old Jeeps because I could afford them, and now I'm still into them because I can afford them.
I'm sensing a trend here. Picking up on something.
But the deal was, it was, I knew during like the first like year or so of me and my dad getting into this Jeep thing. My dad lived in Iowa at the time. I was up here in Eau Claire living in my now brother-in-law's basement. Yeah. Wow.
You weave yourself a tangled web. Sir.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just, I know I'm
keep
pointing
up. Keep up. All right.
I'm pointing out the obvious here. I'm just, for those of you listening, I just want to make sure you know the spider is tangling this web. And I want to get into the old Jeep stuff. And I think it's cool to hear you say that it's because you couldn't afford the new ones
right
at the time. But you guys have done so many awesome things with revitalization of these old Willys, the Overlander, which I know has been published in national magazines. It's been out to Vegas. It's been everywhere, and we'll get into the fact that it's been from fucking Canada down to Mexico,
right?
And I want to say in a straight line because it's not, but and I'm a new Jeep guy. I mean, I the body structure and the new look and it feels like you're in a cockpit and stuff. But I never really think I had an appreciation for the Willys style or the Overlander style. I didn't really understand the history because I was a new Jeep guy. And I think there was like two different categories there until I met you guys and walked into the shop and the Overlander was sitting out right in front of Max Bilt. And I think you told me, and it wasn't the first time we met, because I think the first time you met me, you're like, asshole, I'm going to take this piece of shit Suburban and make it fucking cool. And then, but the second time,
you brought beef sticks.
I brought a whole fucking carton full of Wenzel's Farm sausages for the boys at the shop. And when you take a second look at a vehicle like the old Willys that you have sitting out there or the Overlander, and it was the second time when you look at it and you say, you don't look at it like, oh, it's an old rusty fucking thing. There's nothing shiny on it. There's no chrome. And you start to, I think, put into a weird perspective about where the fuck has this thing been?
Right.
If this vehicle could tell you stories about, the day it got off the line and where it was until you found it. And then, and I say the word restore, restored it back to, working order, but restored it back so it's still like, it has its own sensibility to it. It has its own, it's not different, it has the same feel to it. And I think that gave me such a bigger appreciation for not only the work that you guys do on the new vehicles, because I've seen the Hellcat.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Like that's, if I have a wheelhouse, that is right where I would live. I would live inside of that wheelhouse for all times.
Yeah,
but the fact that
killer.
the fact that you can take a vehicle like, you can take the Jeep frame of a new Jeep, or from a 15 years Jeep, last 20 years Jeep, and you can build and construct something like that with parts that are made right now.
Right.
When you start talking about rebuilding something that is that old, like the Overlander, what year is the Overlander?
49.
A 1949 Overlander. Those parts aren't at the fucking store, dude.
No.
Amazon has everything. Like, literally, you could go on and buy anything. I think pretty much everything in this studio was bought on Amazon. Some of it refurbished because I'm poor, because this is only the second fucking podcast, okay?
We'll get there.
But to know that it takes so much more than just the ability to go and get the parts and to put it together.
Yeah, you don't just slap it on.
No, there is some creativity going on up in the noggin there.
Well, and that's funny too. Like, you hit the nail on the head. And sure, we bought these things because they were $100 from some farmer,
right?
And then we drag them to the shop. When at that time, even getting into it, it was like we drag them to like a parking lot. And
it seems like a safe place for this to happen.
Right. And then you look at it and you're like, you start tearing it apart. You're like, oh, like some dude used like, what does the street sign say? Speed limit 45. That was probably max speed, like, or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but then now all of a sudden, like, you want to give this thing a new lease on life, that you can give a nod to it, like its old ways, not completely change it. But then that opens up a whole new can of worms, because like a lot of the patina and a lot of these old, like, how do you replace a floor and half of a side of a vehicle that it has this like flowing rust consistency? Boom, new steel. No, you can't do that. Yeah. So like, you've got to find ways to blend that in, and a lot of times it's repurposing old stuff. It's, my wife is great because she likes to, she does the whole like thrift sailing and antiquing, and she'll come home with like, hey, I got this old like Coleman lantern. Oh, great, I can cut the base apart, and I'm going to use that to plug a hole here or there.
You didn't want that, did you? Like, you didn't have like a bird, like that wasn't going to go for our next camping trip, was it? Okay, good, because I already did it. I already tore the bottom out.
We'd take like old oil lanterns. I know Adam's old Jeep, he made like a hook to hang off the back of his Jeep, and then he took an old oil lantern and put a little red LED in it, and that every time he hit the brakes, that swinging lantern was his brake light.
Oh,
little stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's letter of the law. That's street legal.
Well, I mean,
so.
Like sometimes you got to take that letter and like make it your own. It's like a, there's different styles there. Some are bold, some are italicized. But you just got to own it. And when you drive it past a cop, typically the things we drive or build, they look at it and they're either thinking, what? Or they're thinking, I'll get off in 10 minutes.
I don't care. And that guy's a hobo just looking for the next train to take him somewhere else. Now, not only do you guys, there's a certain passion level that when you find individuals that are driven, that have a vision of something and they just want to see it through.
Right.
And even if they're not exactly sure what the end result looks like. But I want to talk about the girl.
Ginger?
The girl that is on
the Trail Tail chick. Ginger. Yeah, Ginger Longlegs.
Ginger, her name Ginger Longlegs, is that the official name?
Oh yeah, no, that's the official name. Yeah.
So like it's you have a tattoo. You have a tattoo. Yeah. He's got a tattoo of Ginger Longlegs.
Yeah, in the middle of an old vintage patinaed Willys grill on my forearm.
Where did you meet Ginger? And okay, wait. We can edit this out.
All right.
I'm almost 100% sure of that. Almost like 98%.
Is it muted, Cooper?
Yeah, the buttons are off. It's
all right, fine. I'm in a safe place now.
Yeah. Welcome to the safe zone.
No, actually, it was. So we came up. One of our products that we came up with was an LED taillight for the Jeeps. Trying to, again, like, not only do we just deal with these old things. Mm-hmm. Especially after we took a trip with these old Jeeps and we drove them across the country the first time, we were like, fuck that. and we took that 49 wagon and we mixed old and new together. So you can have an old patina 49 Willys wagon driving at 80 miles an hour down the highway, freaking the shit out of people that you pass. But one of our products was a LED taillight because like the Jeep taillights, like they suck. You back them into a tree and they explode. They're just a trailer taillight. So there was another product on the market that was subpar.
That was subliminal. I don't think anybody listening who knows what they're listening to knows.
Well, I thought it was muted. I thought it was muted. Shit.
Oh, yeah, this is all off the air. Wait, we're not on the air.
Oh, perfect. But we were having problems with them, so we're like, fuck it, we're going to make our own. But we're going to do it cool, and we're going to market this a little bit differently. Their tail lights, trail tail. Everybody likes tail. Let's get some tail. Why don't we have a sweet pinup chick that's sexy that can kind of help market this product? Because, again, throwback to the vintage. I have a beautiful wife. She's a beautiful woman at the center of everything that is Max Bilt. So how can we kind of give a nod to her, a nod to this, get a little tail thing, that whole nine. And I talked to a buddy of mine, Landon. He owns another company, American Trail Products. And he, great graphic designer, was like, dude, this is my idea. This is my thought. And then, like, later in the day, he's like, this is what I kind of came up with. Pinup chick, big tits, leg pointing in the air. Perfect. She can sit right on the letters for the words. It's going to look great. So then that just kind of, that blossomed. I mean, to the point where we were at a show in Daytona Beach, Florida, and we had our booth all set up. We had this chick come up. She's like, oh, that's it. Like, all right. Well, I'm taken. So,
I don't know if you saw this ring.
Yep. But she's right there. Heather.
She knows karate.
But she's, no, that tattoo. I've been looking for a pinup chick just like that. This is what I wanted. I want to get a tattoo of this on my calf. Well, all right.
I need some, sign a waiver or something?
I said, do you have a Jeep? And she said, yeah. She said, I got a TJ, which for all you out there, a TJ is a 97 to 06 Jeep Wrangler. But I said, well, I'll tell you what. You come back tomorrow with a tattoo on your calf of our logo, and you can get yourself a set of free taillights. Thinking that I was just going to give her a sticker and I'd never see her again. Sure as shit.
Ta-da! Hey!
You can get a lot of things in Daytona Beach, and one of them is a pinup chick on your calf.
Tattooed overnight. It's like Amazon Prime.
Yep, exactly.
I feel like Bezos should be paying us to drop Amazon as much as we have today.
Yes.
Well, he's parting away with some money, so maybe we should wait. We'll wait.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah, at least half.
We've mentioned this a couple times about the, you haven't said it out loud, but the Epic Willys Adventure, which is, I'm not sure where it came from. Like, I imagine, here's my vision, and you can then correct me if the story's wrong.
All right.
You're drunk.
It's wrong.
Yeah. Okay. You're drunk.
Oh no, you're totally right.
Okay,
yeah. No.
So you're drunk,
and
you're
steering the boat in the right way.
You're drunk, and you're like, I have an idea. Let's go from Montana.
Well, I could correct you because there was one before this one.
Oh, now we're getting into specifics.
I mean, if we want to be semantical.
Well, I'm talking about the original thought process. Like,
right.
You're drunk.
Well, yeah. No, like,
B,
yeah, absolutely.
B, let's
drunk
go.
in the shop.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So it was my Adam. Adam's up. There's Adam again. We're gonna have one of these nights. We're gonna have to get Adam in here too.
We should.
I mean, that is if you will have me back someday.
Well, we'll see how this goes.
All right.
We'll see how many downloads we get, and then we'll discuss later. We'll see. Actually, we should have him on. Then we can compare. Like, right. Apparently he's got a little more draw than you do.
All right. Well, maybe not. He's pretty likable. Believe it. No, but so Adam and another good friend, Mark Strangfeld, we were just having beers in the shop and kicking around the idea, like looking at all these old pieces of shit that we had, and we're like, someday we should put one of these together and drive it across the country. And then we just drink more beer, and then one night it was like, you know what? Fuck it. Yep. And I said next year would have been 2016, which was the 75th anniversary of Jeep and the 50th anniversary of the Easter Jeep Safari, which is like the pilgrimage of all. It's like Sturgis for Jeeps, but it's out in Moab, right? And so I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make an announcement. We're gonna do it. We're gonna call it the Epic Willys Adventure because it's gonna be fucking epic. Because we're gonna try to. The deal was, the rules were no phones, no GPS, and no interstate travel, and no modifications to the vehicle other than what would have been done back in the day. So no,
you couldn't have like
no
quality 2016 suspension or
Nope.
No, okay.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yep. Seat belts were optional because they were optional back then. No fuel injection. It needed to start hard, run hard, and get put away wet. I mean, that was the way it was. You know, if it was leaking, that was good because at least you knew it had fluids to leak. When it stopped leaking,
I feel like you guys were just like how can we fucking derail this thing really quickly? Like, I want to see, like, it feels like the first time was, let's see if we can get out of the first state. Like, and that should have been furthest one wins. Like, hey, I made it to Utah. No, you lost, dude.
No, dude, that's not even that.
No.
You know where my shop is, and I'm about a quarter of a mile from a gas station, and you should have seen everybody's faces when we drove out of the shop and got to the gas station to fuel them up. There was cheering. I mean, it was like we won the Super Bowl. Like, we were like, oh, we made it. We made it to the gas station.
It's an eighth of a mile. Oh, man. Jeepers.
And the deal for that whole trip was we're going to go from our shop to Moab, Utah, down through Missouri, Kansas, southern route of Colorado. And we did it. We had our friend, had another friend who wanted to be on the trip, passed away about 2 months prior to it. He worked for a company called JP Magazine. He was a good friend, Pete Trasborg. And, just ended way too soon. But good friend of his and girlfriend of his from when I knew him, she still wrote as a freelance for JP, and I called Missy up. I said, this was something that Pete wanted to do. I'd love for you to cover it. What do you think? She said, oh, yep, I'm down. So she rode shotgun, wind, rain, fog, snow, everything. 70 miles an hour across. Kansas is a windy state.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas sucks. It really does.
Now, some of these Jeeps,
yeah,
nature air conditioned.
Oh,
like,
yeah, no top.
There's no top.
Zero top.
Right.
Zero top, zero doors. So it's like snowmobile suits. But also, Kansas was hot. And then Colorado was not. So you got to pack for all of that stuff. And on that first trip, there was a lot of hotel stays. And because it was funny. People would be like, oh, are you going to do the whole thing dirt? Are you kidding me, man? We're going to try to make it. Like the first day, Adam blew his engine up. Like
day one.
Jeez. Fuck. What are we doing? Like, this is a horrible idea. And, we're 75 miles from home with a blown up engine. We ran into an awesome Jeep club down in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Like, we found a motor. Like, they opened up a garage at some dude's house, Rich Belkey. And his wife was like cooking food, and she like sent us on our way after we put a new motor in Adam's Jeep, and that motor was junk. And we said, Adam, you're fucked. So just put your shit in somebody else's stuff. Let's roll, because we're burning daylight. And then like the next 100 miles, I remember we again celebrated like we won 2 Super Bowls when we got out of the state of Wisconsin.
We've just made it to Minnesota. Go team.
Right. And so we did this trip, and I mean, I could we could do a podcast just about each trip, for crying out loud. But we get done with that trip. We pull into Moab. On the way there, we get stopped because it was 75th anniversary of Jeep. Brad Stanley, who was a photographer for Jeep Corporate, was doing a big promotion for that milestone, and he's like, A, you guys are crazy. B, let's do a photo shoot with you and all your hoopties. So we did that, and then that was when we were like, oh, there's something kind of here. Like this was fun. Not only was it fun, like we checked our Instagram social after we got back, and we had 10,000 followers or something like that. I think we had 8,000 right away, and then like we've only gained like another 2,000 or 2,500 in 2 years, which I don't really get that. Thanks, analytics, but we
damn the algorithms, man.
Right.
Damn them right to hell.
Bullshit. But we had when we got back, we're like, oh, there's something here. Like this whole lifestyle idea is kind of fun. Mm-hmm. So then we decided that every 2 years we're going to do another trip, and so then in 18, which is that Canada to Mexico thing, we doubled down, reached out to some people that were excited about it, talked to Advance and their TechNet community. We talked to Grizzly Coolers, Yokohama Tire helped us out, and some really, really awesome sponsors, a lot of backing on an idea that we're gonna drive a bunch of Jeeps at 35 miles an hour across the country. What do you say?
2016. How many vehicles did you have? How many Jeeps were a part of that trip? I mean, besides Adams, would shit the bed outside of La Crosse.
Oh, yeah, it was a piece of shit.
It's still sitting there.
What was funny was that like everybody else rebuilt engines, and Adam rebuilt everything other than his motor, because like 5 years earlier he rebuilt his motor, so he was like, no, my motor's good.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Check that off the list.
Yeah, well, whoopsie daisy. But then, like, fast forward 2 more years, and I rebuilt my motor twice now. Thanks, Tom. We'll get into that.
That's in episode 3.
But I think we had 7 or 8, and like, shame on me, I don't remember exactly, but 7 or 8. Had a lot going on. Still have a lot going on. Where am I?
2018. How many do you have in 2018?
So we signed up.
I don't need exact numbers. So this is, again, we failed math. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
We skipped those classes.
And really, nobody that's listening even knows, anyways. So
math.
we had 14 people that were Jeeps that were interested. Mm-hmm. One of them didn't make it to the start, so it started with 13. And like everybody had a rider, because this year we were all, for the most part, bringing our significant others. Oh. Plot twist.
Dun dun dun.
And I'll tell you, like from the start, it was like, I hope they get it. Like, we literally get stranded on the side of the road for hours at a time with nothing to do, and we don't have the answer for, well, how's it going? Well, pretty shitty, because we're still here. Are the tires moving? Well, no. Well, then it's pretty shitty.
Yeah, it hasn't improved yet.
Yep.
We haven't seen the...
But when the tires move, you'll know that it's better, because we're moving.
And you'll notice by the smile on my face.
Right.
Yes, and the beer in my hand. Now, and that's, I mean, outside of just the feat of doing that, in not just taking, a Toyota Camry, which could drive from here back to where it was manufactured.
Right.
Easily. Outside of that struggle in itself, and not being on highways and not using cell phones and not using all the technologies out there, you decided, not you, maybe it was a group decision. I have an idea. Like 2016 was a real struggle. Like this was a tough fucking feat to do, from Eau Claire to Moab.
Right.
Which is in Utah, for those of you who don't have a map. But like, you have an idea, which I applaud you for, because I think this builds stronger relationships.
Well, that's the idea.
Like, let's add a whole new level of difficulty. You can take the headphone. If you need to grab a beer, dude, you just take your headphones off.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll take care of this in post. Actually, no, I'm going to leave this in here.
Yep.
Like, I'm not going to stop you.
A beer.
Dude needs a beer. But to add the next level of bringing
it's
the
weird,
spouses.
It's weird to hear your voice when I don't have headphones on. I like this better. I feel much more safe now.
You feel like you're in a safe zone?
Yeah.
Good. That beer will help too.
Yep.
But that's... And this isn't like a harp on the sanctity of marriage, but you're in a stressful situation because you are trying to accomplish something. This show has become complete with sound effects, which is amazing. Do we need to give a shout out to Walters and the guys at Northwoods Brew Pub? And
absolutely, thanks for all that you do. Keep up the good work.
That's and I know because I saw the pictures from Epic Willys Adventure 2018. There was plenty.
Oh yeah,
there was plenty of Walters to maybe help calm some of the nerves
absolutely.
and stuff.
All right, so where were we?
I said, why would you bring your wives on board in this trip when you know it's going to be there's going to be
catastrophic?
No, not catastrophic, because it was overall it was a success.
Oh, it totally was.
But there's going to be challenges along the way.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing. Like the wonderful thing was that like our wives already knew that we were idiots before they signed up.
Before they signed up for the trip, or before they signed up?
Before they signed up for our marriage.
Okay, good. That's fine.
Yeah. So that made this decision much easier.
Like I already did that. I already made that mistake. I mean, I already made that decision.
So yeah, we started in Kalispell, Montana.
Jeez.
And we drove to El Paso, Texas, which sister city is Juarez, Mexico. And
I hear it's dangerous down there.
it's there's cartel issues that we ran into.
There was some ish.
Yeah, there was definitely some ish. Had to reroute because otherwise we would have been fined. I don't know, taxed. I don't know. Give me your money, or you don't get to go. However that works.
I'm not sure if that's regulated by the federal government.
Yeah, I don't think it's regulated.
I think it's different.
No, I think it's a different regulation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we opted out of that route. US 10, apparently between Columbus and El Paso, people, if you're driving in a convoy of old Willys Jeeps, don't do it. Or in a newer pickup truck, because the guy at the Super 8 breakfast said that he's been stopped a lot of times and he's had to pay a lot of money. It was pretty crazy.
But he's still alive, I guess.
Yeah, like he got to
if
tell us
you're looking for
that.
A silver lining in this whole thing,
yeah.
is
he doesn't have a truck
did you
anymore.
Die?
But...
You didn't die.
Yeah,
you were
but
fine.
did you die?
No.
But when we started Kalispell, we took the train out. I used to work for a farmer down in Oliva, and I was 16 years old. And I remember he had a condo out in Whitefish, and he told me, he said, one day before you die, you need to take the Empire Builder train from St. Paul to Montana. Just a super cool way to travel. I've never been on a train. I mean, I've been on an Amtrak, like into New York City, which is just a glorified subway.
I was going to say a little bit cleaner, but it's really
not. No,
it's not. Less urination on your leg,
right?
Maybe.
And so
would you pay extra for that car? I want to be in the car where they don't piss on your leg. Is that like cool? It's $5?
I would appreciate that.
Thank you.
Could you just
Or I mean, when you're in New York, you want to feel New York, but
right. Not that New York.
No, not that close. Like
right.
Less urine is great.
So I thought, if I'm gonna do it and we're gonna drive from Montana to Mexico, well, might as well take 28 of my friends on this train with me and see what we can kind of come up with. So we organized that into the whole project. So getting to the start got to be an adventure too, and that was fun. But then we got there, the Jeeps were all stored in a county fairgrounds. So we roll in after this wonderful trip where somebody else took care of us to get there. Another Jim Beam and Coke there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, excellent.
Here's $1 for your troubles. Thank you.
And then we get there and we're like, oh, fuck, please start, please start, please start. We get everything fired up, get to the hotel. So this time we were like, oh, we're going to stay in hotels for 4 or 5 nights max. And it was a 14-day trip. So a lot more camping. And day one, we leave. We have a little meeting. We leave. So I guess first we head down to the local Car Quest. Just for some last minute things. And we did a little meet and greet with the local community. Well, last minute things I think racked up a $3,700 bill.
It was an extensive list of things.
And then we left. We went up through Glacier National Park. Got up to the top. One of the guys' Jeeps was overheating, which it overheated a lot on the first trip too.
Didn't get that fixed.
Nope.
No.
There's a lot to do in between the two times. And so then we started cruising went through the park, hung a left, 15 miles to the border. And we start cruising and we go past this Chewing Blackbone campground with a bunch of teepees. We're like, oh, that's cool. Then we look across the road. Oh, that's a family of grizzly bears walking 10 feet from our Jeeps. thank goodness we're not staying at that campground.
Well, I think you pay extra for that added adventure. Like, you want to feel like you're in the real fucking middle of nowhere? You want to feel like you're roughing it?
Yeah.
Go fight a bear,
Right.
Phil. Yeah.
Well, but wait, there's more.
But wait.
So we get to the border, and we're like, oh yeah, we did it. We got to the start.
So did this didn't feel like you won your third Super Bowl? Is what you're saying? Like,
no, it's like, oh,
nobody gives a shit.
I feel like there's gonna be something, and there was, because then our buddy Cody was like, hey Phil, wait, just do you want to drive my Jeep for a second? Like, something's just not right. So I hop in it. Old Greg, that was the name of it. Old Greg.
Feels like the fucking Jeep whisperer here. He's like, yeah, why don't you drive it for a second and just let me know what old Greg says to you. Does he speak?
Old Greg said, fuck. I hopped in it, and the whole thing was shaking. The steering wheel, like everything. Just, I said, Cody, I don't need to drive this anywhere. It's fucked. Like, and then at that same time, like, the border patrol agent starts running down. She's like, you need to leave. You guys can't all be here. And we're looking around. We're like, what? What? Nobody's here. Like, we're your biggest. This should be exciting for you because nothing happens.
Look, human beings.
Right.
Look, it's not a fucking family of bears. Like, like, chill, lady.
So she's like, go quarter mile down the road. There's a turnoff. Go down a quarter mile down the road, and then we're like, oh, we're definitely in the Blackfoot Indian Reservation. I could get into that more, but whoa, it was intense. So
but did you die?
No, I'm here, and that's what matters.
That's all that counts.
Well, so Cody changes his oil, and it looked like the most beautiful silver paint you would ever put on a car. And for anybody that changes oil, they know that that's not what you want. No, but it was beautiful. So we're like, well, I guess we're gonna go to that campground just up the road.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I feel like we've come full circle here. Like, was this the one with the family of bears?
Yeah.
And not the Berensteins or other friendly bear families?
It was definitely not
cartoons?
Yogi. It was not Yogi.
Boo boo.
So we go pull in there, and the campground folk, the attendees, the whatever, the people in charge. They they definitely just giving us the eyeball, like, who are these people coming into our campground in their old jalopies? And then
as they walk out of a teepee, like, hey, wait a minute here, like, I feel like we're on the same team, kind of.
Right, yeah, like, throw me a bone here.
Jump a decade or two.
It is
people.
chewing black bone. Like, all right, where is that black? I need to chew on something. And we limp in. And then our buddy that was overheating gets drug in by like the last Jeep. And
took them a few extra minutes to get there.
We circle the wagons, and my Jeep had the most important cargo of all of the Jeeps.
Your wife.
Oh, you set me up for that one.
I did. See, you're welcome, Heather. You're welcome. I'm here all week.
I was gonna say the beer.
Oh yes, yes.
So we were blessed with 2 kegs of beer, and some root beer that were run through a Grizzly Coolers made us a jockey box, which was like stainless steel cable or coils run through a Grizzly Cooler. You just had to put ice in it, and then when the keg beer would come through, by the time it came out, it was like cold and delicious.
That's fucking genius.
Yep.
That guy makes a lot of money.
No matter what happened on this trip, it didn't really matter.
It's going to be okay.
Yep.
We have cold beer and root beer for those of you who are not as fun.
So we like took a minute to assess. Well, no. So we drank beer, and then the next day we were like, we'll take a minute to assess our situation. But we made it through the first day, and I was definitely what was running through my head was, fuck. What fuck. How's this gonna work? But each day progressed, small victories, and I mean we got stories all the way from border to border, but it was we made it to the end, met a lot of awesome people. Like I said, Forlow magazine, they did an awesome job capturing kind of the story. But the coolest part about the whole thing
is you didn't die.
Is that we didn't die. Well, there's that.
The second coolest thing was
we were able to. A friend of ours owns a production company out of La Crosse, and he wanted to be on the trip. We wanted to have him on the trip. He's a good friend, and I said, but you need to document it. Like, what do you think about that? I think there's a documentary here because people want to laugh at like all the different ways that we sucked every day, and so I said, but here's the deal: if you're gonna videotape it, you still have to have an old vintage vehicle as your production rig. Well, can't we get like a couple minivans so we could? Nope.
No.
Yep. So
God, you're an asshole. Jeez, dude.
Yeah, rules are rules.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You're hard and fast with those rules, aren't you? All the time. Like, nah, fucking.
Well, no.
On this particular instance,
they
rules are
fit
rules.
Me. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like when it works for me, or when I think it's going to be epic.
We can't really just give you a free pass because you're going to make this into some fucking documentary, you know.
Blah, blah, blah.
But I was going to bring that up because when we met on Friday of last week, I got to see some of the work that was done for Epic Willys Adventures. And, you know, I think, you know, you and I could sit here and I could listen to the stories that happened. And,
I get lost. Sorry.
No, I'm serious. I because you want to have that, like, you know, firsthand experience of, you know, fucking black bears. That could be a legit concern.
Right.
If you happen to be stranded on the side of the road and you're like, oh, would you like a beer?
I smell like beef jerky. I've been eating a lot of it lately.
All I've been eating is beef jerky and drinking Walters, man. I don't know what the hell you want me to do. But, you know, just seeing the footage that I saw to encapsulate that trip and the struggles and the realities of it. And, you know, even from the little bit that I saw, conceptually, when you think about it, like, oh my God, we're going to go do this thing. It's going to be really cool because we're going to start here, we're going to end here, and there's going to be like raw human fucking emotion that is going to come out. And even in the snippet that I got to see, that's real as fuck, dude. I mean, there's, you know, the epic factor of the trip, you know, is so much more than just the fact that you took it. You did it without GPS. You made the fucking production guy, who I'm surprised actually sent you the footage, fucking.
I had to beg for it.
I was gonna say, like, hey, really sorry we made you go through this whole thing. But I think even for the filmmakers, you know, that's really being entrenched in what they were doing, is because you're not just like, hey, you know, we're the film crew. We're going to be in the back catching some really cool aerial footage of you guys driving down the road or going through some water and driving on dirt and
they got it. It was just harder.
It was just more difficult. And I'm guessing when they got about a quarter of the way through, they're like, fuck this guy, dude.
Oh, yeah.
But it really and I'm excited for others to be able to get a chance to witness it, just because of the. And you can't put that whole thing. You can't put 2 weeks into, this amount of footage. But it was really cool to be able to get some visual stimulation of, wow, what you guys did was. I mean, epic is maybe an understatement, because that's a fucking undertaking, dude. That's, you know.
Well, it's funny though too.
And the weird thing is, like, you live in America, like, you have fucking choice. Right. You can say things like, I don't want to do this because eventually my wife could stab me with, you know, a piece of that black bone and just right through the jugular. But we're gonna make it through.
Well, and that was the thing too, like it, and I think for me, and my buddies are kind of like the same mindset. It wasn't a big fucking deal in the 50s.
It was.
I mean, it was a big deal, sure.
Yes,
you're like, I'm gonna move my homestead from, you know, Wisconsin to California, and it was a thing. But at the same time, like, it was a thing. You just fucking did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, look at me, I made it. But I think the big difference is, with all of the opportunity for easier.
Yeah.
That easy button's always there, and that minivan for the production company would have been the easy button, because I don't know how many times would I've been like, Pat, I don't give a fuck. Just go to the parts store and come back here real fast. Just drive. Just push the gas pedal. Nobody will even know. Just go get us parts.
It'll be fine.
Right.
We're going to be fine.
It's going to be fine.
What's the plan with
So the takeaway from it is
the Epic Willys Adventure.
The idea is we're going to do it every 2 years. We don't do it every year because then it becomes a thing. And the whole, like the idea behind it, like I live, breathe, eat, sleep, everything, Jeep, off-road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously we're a general repair facility too. But like we're involved in that shit all the time. So the last thing I want to do is like think about Epic as, oh God, I got to put something together. So we're like, oh, we'll do it every 2 years, which really lays out to be like every 18 to 20 months.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we can be excited about it. We can plan it. I want to continue it to be documented, both print and video. This current one, we're working with a few of the companies that sponsored us to get the footage edited, and we're shooting for like Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some interest also from like History's Drive Block. So that there's some outlets for it to be able to be seen. At the very least, it'll be up on Amazon Prime, which is also awesome.
So you'll be able to witness it and
yeah, so everybody can
along
check
with
it.
you guys.
Exactly, so they can be, and that like the footage, the audio is, we had two-way communications from the Jeeps, which was it's a age-old technology that was definitely around back in the day. So, but we were able to capture that for the footage, so that like you can hear the the in-cab communication when it's oh fuck, I think my motor blew up, or I don't know what happened, I need to pull over.
Phil needs an ice cream sandwich.
There's that.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm gonna murder you. There was a lot of bleeping between the husband and his wives, but that's kind of the idea. We want to be able to make sure not everybody can always do these things, so we want to find ways that they can experience it, live vicariously, and do those things, and hopefully inspire people to like take that leap, do something a little bit crazy, say fuck it, why not? Call their buddies up and say let's do something dumb, or cool, or dumb and cool.
Yeah, a combination of both.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And just see what happens.
Call it epic.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, was there anything from the footage that you put your foot down and said, let's not do that, let's edit that part out? Like, did you stab anybody? Did anybody come back with less fingers or limbs, or did anybody's marital status change after?
No, it was nothing. Got that bad.
Okay,
that's definitely
good. That's uplifting.
There's plenty of off-camera hugs of comfort from tears, but everybody was a trooper. Like, and when shit got deep, like, and honestly, like, hats off to Jeff and Pat who filmed it, because they weren't necessarily looking for a reality TV show like, the Real Housewives of the fucking pioneer days. that wasn't the highlight. That wasn't the drama.
Yeah.
Shit. Surely things unfolded. There was plenty of outbursts and extreme anger, but thankfully it wasn't like people based. It was like, I fucking hate this Jeep and I want it to burn on the side of the road. And Cody actually left his on the side of the road in Colorado, and walked away from it and picked it up 2 months later on the side of the road. In Colorado. Still
in the same spot?
Yeah. No, yeah. When we stopped at a gas station in Meeker, Colorado, he ran into some dude with a trailer and was like, there's a Jeep 7 miles back. Here's my number. I'm going to call you in like 2 months. If you have it at your house, it'd be great, because I hate it right now.
Right now, we need some time away. It was a separation.
But he went and he picked it up later. It was dude took care of it for him.
and I think that's raw human emotion. I mean, I imagine when you get into it's being filmed, obviously at the end of the trip or down the road at some point, this could become something that is a documentary. It's on Netflix. It's on Amazon Prime. It's wherever it is. It's wherever it exists. So when you first get into it, when you first fire up the Jeep, you guys get out to Montana, and you're getting in the Jeeps and you're hoping they start. There's a certain part of you at that beginning part, is probably in a mindset of, I'm gonna say TV star or reality TV star, but you're like, yeah, it's gonna be like we're fucking
Oh,
going,
yeah.
man.
No.
It's gonna be, hey, dude, sorry I didn't bring you your fucking minivan. This is gonna suck for you, but it's gonna. So you have a mentality of you're making a TV show. I mean, obviously
Right.
you're doing this.
Well, no,
this trip.
absolutely, and like it does fade. I will say
that was what I was saying. At some,
yeah.
you get, I don't know how far down the road you
about
get.
about a mile.
Yeah, you get to the gas station, an eighth of a mile out of the shop.
Yeah.
But you get to a point, and then it's like, you know what? Yeah, these cameras are going to be around, and they're going to be, getting footage of all this stuff. But at some point, that fucking, the Hollywood part of it, if you will, fades away, and it's like, okay, this is just going to be real.
Yeah,
this
it's
is just
definitely
real
shit, especially when. Like, and we prepped for it a little bit, like beforehand. We had some meetings with, hey everybody, this is Jeff. Jeff's gonna be in your face. Fucking deal with it, and like ignore Jeff. Just do your thing. And sure, it was weird, and I'm sure, we do a lot on social, so like I personally don't really think too much of it until somebody like puts a camera in my face and says like, how do you feel about this? And I go,
I feel like I'm going to kill you.
Right.
You put that fucking camera in my face again. That's how I feel.
But, it became really real. Like the moment when I was like, oh, whoa, was when Pat and Jeff, they brought, forgive me guys, but I think it was a nephew or a cousin, and he was the helper, he'd change the batteries, make sure everything was charged. He was in the back seat of Pat's wagon because Pat had a wagon for the trip. Well, when we built Pat's Jeep, the exhaust came out behind the driver's door, but it had a lot of leaks in it.
wasn't fully sealed exhaust pipe.
It rolled up, and the exhaust would come back in the cab. And we got I don't know if it was a radio call or it was a thing. All of a sudden, it was, is he breathing? Jesus. And when we realized that he passed out from carbon monoxide poisoning,
yeah.
we were
That's
like,
a thing.
oh, so nobody's immune to any of this shit, even if they are the production crew.
So sorry, friend. So sorry, helper guy.
Right.
Trial by fire.
Yep.
You're a better man for it.
Yep. Roll the windows down.
You're going to need some fresh air. I don't care if it's raining. You're going to be fine. You're going to live.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of hypothermia, a little bit of pneumonia is probably more survivable than the old carbon monoxide poisoning. Right. They say that shit's deadly.
Well, it's like the Oregon Trail. He died from carbon monoxide.
Like from what? What were they feeding the oxen?
Right.
They should have foraged the river, but no, they decided to build a raft.
Well, I'm going to use that as a shameless segue then into our Epic Willys 2020.
Are you going on the Oregon Trail?
Yep.
Wow, that really worked out well.
Yeah, it really did.
Jeez.
Shit.
I thought we were just fucking winging this whole thing, and here you just slide in these nice, smooth transitions. You were going to set up this show for fucking epic failure, dude. It's going to be called the Epic Cooper Failure. Like, he tried to build this fucking thing. Phil came in, was making nice, smooth transitions into my next thing.
And for my next trick.
And for my next number, going on the Oregon Trail.
But we are, yeah. We haven't announced it. So when this airs, this will actually be the first announcement for
dun, dun, dun.
where Epic Willys 2020 is going to be.
Man.
So thank you for that.
Thank you. I feel
we
got some clout now.
So we're just make sure it airs before the 17th of April, because that's when we're making the announcement.
Oh, this will be up.
All right, good.
Don't worry about that.
But that Moab, Utah is Easter Jeep Safari. That's when we're going to shoot our announcement out. But yeah, we'll be going from St. Louis, Missouri to the Willamette Valley in Oregon. And I also have another kind of crazy twist to that.
Dun, dun, dun. We need a sound. Can we get a sound effects bar in here? Like I'm talking to my non-existent producer.
Anybody?
Hey, can you? No, my kid's asleep, so
yeah,
he's not going to do it.
But he could.
He would.
He'd be like, "Oh, Dad, no, I saw. I'll do this."
Cool. You're running out of the wrong channel.
You don't have anything? Well, I'll just quick make it. Hang on.
Give me that oatmeal can. Right. It'll be fine. You're going to eat that? No.
Just put it in Tupperware, Dad. Here's the lid. Here's the lid.
It'll be fine. It's supposed to go in that microwavable container, but no, it's not going to.
No, but we so on this last trip, one of the ways that we kind of tried to help fund the whole thing, because not only did it was a pretty much a 13, a 3-week trip, I shut my shop down because most of the people that went on it were all my guys from the shop.
The only crazy fuckers you could find.
Yeah,
well, you also happen to work with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, they're my friends, and they happen to work with me, and so I give them money, and then they get to be my friend, and then they get to go on these crazy trips with me.
Oh,
Yeah.
see how this deal works out.
So we were, one of the ways to fund it was epicwillysadventure.com, and like everything that you would, every $25 you would spend would get you an opportunity to win a Jeep that we were building before the trip. We drove it on the trip, and then at the end of our adventure down in El Paso, we put all the names in a hat, pulled it out. One, the dude that won it was Wayne Miley from Oregon, who actually signed up and bought a T-shirt at an AMSOIL event up in Duluth, Minnesota, that my son sold him the ticket on my birthday. There was a show up there on my birthday. My son was like, "Dad, I want to go there on your birthday." So he was up there, and quick story, I do this a lot, so deal with it. But
Squirrel.
Yep. And Wayne bought the ticket free and clear. Next guy comes up, and my son, he's 7. Yeah, he was 7 at the time. And he looks at the guy, he says, "Hi, do you like Jeeps?" "Yeah." "Do you like T-shirts?" "Yeah." "Well, for $25, you could win a Jeep and have a T-shirt." And the guy looks at him, and he's like, "No, that's all right." And Jackson looks at him and says, "Do you like stickers?" "You can afford it. It's free."
Whoa!
And at first I was
shady.
I was like, I was gonna kind of like butt it and be the like dad and like, "Oh son, you can't say." And then I thought, yeah, motherfucker, here, take your free sticker. Yeah. Shit.
Just want to let you know that Phil also brought me some stickers. They were free. When we get the cameras up here in the studio, we'll be able to show them to you.
But we had so anyways, so the cat that won it, and we were gonna do Oregon Trail before we announced the winner, before we raffled the winner, before any of that. But the winner of the Jeep lives in the Willamette Valley in Oregon. So the other thing to winning the Jeep is you get to go on the next trip. So dude's going to come on the trip and then drive to his house, which is kind of crazy.
Well, he kind of, that's a win-win-win for him.
Oh, dude, yeah.
He's like, "Oh, fuck that return trip, dude. Right. Have fun. Get your asses back to where it belongs." So that's very cool.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about that.
Nobody's going to die of dysentery.
I mean, it's up in the air, really. I mean,
we almost had the carbon monoxide death.
Nobody's got that crystal ball, Cooper.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. And will this one be, footage will be shot of this one too?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
EpicWillysAdventures.com.
Yep.
It's like I know what I'm talking
Boom.
about. I don't even have it written down. I still have sports because the first time that Phil and I went out and had beers together, we met at a sports bar, and it was like the third time I think we met. Like we met once and it was all like, "Yeah, you're an asshole." And the second time was like, "Hey, you're pretty all right. You see the history of the Jeeps. You understand why we're doing what we're doing." And the third time I'm like, "Let's go have some beers." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's meet at this sports bar." And you're like, "So you like sports, huh?" And it's like, well, yeah. I'm like, Packers and Brewers and
perfect.
And it feels like, yeah, I don't do sports, and which is fine. It hasn't hampered our relationship, but I'm like, the general word of "I don't do sports" is like, okay, so you're not like spending your Sundays watching NFL Countdown and then the games and then like, ooh, Sunday Night Football. Like I don't give a fuck who's playing, but I'm gonna watch the game because it's football. And you're like no, like I don't. And it got brought up our last meeting because you said the word hockey, and I'm like, hockey? Like you're into hockey? And you're like, well, no, but there's no.
To be fair,
there's no sport.
I will say that I did ask you to announce a hockey game.
You did,
and
well, let's back up the truck here. I'm sorry.
That was hockey, right?
Let's back up the Jeep here. Yeah, Phil messaged me and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Hey, what's up? What are you doing on Saturday, something in the afternoon?" And I'm like, "I don't know." At that point, I had a job, so I probably had like some sort of assembled schedule. Right now, like people ask me that all the time, like, "Hey, can you like get together?" And I'm like, "Hang on, let me check my schedule." I'm like, I got shit to do, dude. I'm unfucking employed, except for this podcast. But what are you doing on
so
this?
So everybody, please download.
Yeah, please.
And
please subscribe.
Shameless plug.
It'd be awesome if you could do that. But what are you doing on that random Saturday? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, nothing. Yeah, come in. Can you come in? We're playing hockey, pond hockey. I'm like, that's a sport, man. Like people do that. Like it's not hockey, but it's some semblance of it. Well, no, we're playing hockey against the Advanced Auto Parts guys. Where? Oh, just out on the back of the shop. Like that. This is the setup. And I'm like, and just do the announcing. No, you want to do the announcing for the Facebook Live. We're doing Facebook Live on
the thing.
And
the thing for the thing.
Now, if you live in, I shouldn't say just in Wisconsin. If you live in the Midwest, there was a time in January when it was pretty fucking nice out. Like it was cold.
We found it.
That time. And then there was a window where it got really warm, and the outdoor pond hockey game on ice happened to fall during that window of time where it was like 50, and you really weren't on ice. It was like
it was a slush.
It was a shit pit, is what it was. And so, and not that you guys. Who's the young cat in your?
Sam Gerber.
He's like 18.
Yep.
And like full of energy. Like I'm like, dude, bottle that shit because I want to buy. I'm in line to buy some. Yeah. He was into it, like running back and forth, slopping around. I mean, shit's flying all over the place, and
then we would all try for about like 8 seconds at a crack.
I've never seen, and I watch sport. I've never seen guys that like really were trying their fucking hardest. I mean, A for effort to all you guys. I don't know if you knew what the hell you were doing, but you made it happen.
We were doing sports.
And at the end of the game, which the final score was like 13-1. I won't say who won because, I'm trying to keep it all fair.
We did.
Yeah. There was such exhaustion. Like, I'm surprised we didn't have to call the EMTs and bring out the fucking oxygen.
I will say Tommy looked real bad. I was worried for his well-being.
There was some concern.
Yeah.
Not carbon monoxide kid, but there was concern. But no, that was fun.
But he made
a fun sport. So you do have some athletic prowess.
Yeah, there's athleticism.
And you were wearing some sort of like fucking motorcycle helmet for safety.
Well, yeah, it was my Speed Racer helmet. I was hoping it would give me a little like aerodynamics.
It did.
Yeah.
like Flash Gordon or something, or just the Flash.
Yeah.
So
I was really just more worried about my head.
So was your wife? Actually, your wife wasn't concerned at all.
No.
Like our kids were out playing around with like sticks and beating each other up, and it was, which was awesome. And then they found some Wi-Fi, and they were gone, and were doing their own thing. But first and foremost, Phil, thank you A for being enthusiastic about whatever it is that this is going to turn into.
Absolutely.
For being the first guest in the Welcome to Cooperville Cave of sorts.
Well, I like it. That's a good ring.
Welcome to Cooperville Cave. I think we can make that. That'll look good on a T-shirt.
Let's do that. Yep.
It'll come very soon.
Do that.
Yeah. So 2019. Are you doing SEMA? Doing Moab? What's the plan for Max Bilt?
Yeah, we just hammered actually out our show schedule, and we've got a busy year. We're going to try to hit the East Coast a little bit more, to obviously pimp our products, show our style. The goal is to work a lot more with some of the brands that have been carrying us, that we've been partnering with, working well with. But Moab, SEMA, we got a couple of cool SEMA builds in the works that I can't tell you about yet.
Fucker.
Well, really, it's just because they're not. I have some really cool SEMA builds in my head.
Still in my mind.
Yep. I just need somebody to bite on them. Because if I just built everything that was in my head, then I'd probably just end up being your sound guy.
You become a permanent resident of the Cooperville Cave. Yes. Welcome to Cooperville Man Cave down
absolutely.
Here.
Yep.
Yeah,
No,
there's room. You're on a couch, dude.
It's perfect.
Oh, badass. It's got cup holders and everything.
I know. It's perfect. No, but we're the Bantam Jeep Heritage Festival out in Pennsylvania. There's a new show that we haven't done out in Maryland called Ocean City Jeep Week, which is apparently really great. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we're going to hit up a lot more local stuff. Just the Midwest is kind of becoming more of an epicenter for a lot of this stuff. I mean, the off-road sport as a whole is everything's going back to dirt. You know, NASCAR had its time.
Right.
Things are kind of coming back around. If you know anybody listens interested in any of the sport stuff, things to search. Obviously, Max Bilt, like that shit. Also, King of the Hammers, really, really cool. Check it out. Ultra 4, Crandon, Wisconsin. It's home of the World Championship short course races, which is absolutely insane. 1,000 horsepower trucks going 90 miles an hour, turning a 90-degree corner, and jumping 80 feet through the air. I mean, it's just wild. And also the good friend Clyde down at Southern Rock Racing Series, which he's now evolved into like North American Rock Racing Series. I'm trying to think the acronym, but it's got a lot of letters in it.
Letters, and we've been drinking Walters, so
yeah.
Math. Go back to math.
But no, I mean everything's kind of it's pumping up.
Yeah.
We're seeing a trend, and you know the aftermarket people aren't necessarily wrenching on their '67 Camaros as much anymore. And that, I mean, not that like I love those, and like you know I've wrenched on those, but the vehicles of today aren't allowing you to bolt an Elbrock carb on and tune up the horsepower, bro. It's more like, hey, how can I make my vehicle more versatile or user friendly for my family, for my lifestyle, for let's go camping, let's
get through February in Wisconsin with 14 fucking feet of snow.
Are you kidding me?
57 inches.
Whatever. No.
Some sort of record.
No, that's 57 feet. Might as well be. I tell you, like I was at a show last week down in Wisconsin Dells, and the Dells they have hardly any snow compared to us. We were coming home, and it was probably 11 o'clock at night, and we got 20 miles from Eau Claire, and the ditches, the median, everything, it looked like Colorado. It looked like Colorado after they just got dumped on like 6 feet of snow, and I thought, well, it's because we did.
Legit. It happened over the course. But before that, we had the fucking polar vortex.
Yeah.
It was 60 below, and you couldn't do anything.
No,
and we got snow every fucking 3 days. I was up. I went up to see my wife at work up in the UP up by Ironwood, Michigan. Took the kid up there, and what we had for the month of February was basically like 2-day windows. You had 2-day travel windows to get from A to B. Otherwise, you weren't fucking going anywhere.
Right.
So we went on day A and got stuck. Not stuck, but like they're like, do not fucking travel during the blizzard of a couple weekends ago. And
which you don't hear about that down here. Like, yes, we had our blizzard, but like once it leaves Eau Claire, we're like, meh. Like, I don't care.
It's done.
But the UP, man, it's like a whole other world. 200 inches of snow is like normal.
And they're so used to it up there. The biggest difference is between like going up there is they're used to it. They're used to having that much accumulation over the course of a winter. But there's just more fucking places to put snow.
Right.
Like there is
less houses.
Legit no fucking where to put the rest of the snow. There's people on the side of the road in Altoona. I drive my kid to school every morning. And the dude that lives on the corner by the school took a spray paint can and spray painted free on every fucking snowbank in his yard. Because there's the city can't take it anywhere. There's nowhere to plow it. Like you go to the end of my driveway, which is already a bitch because it's a fucking 45-degree angle straight up in the air to get.
Yeah, I'm impressed with my truck right now. It's really holding steady.
Well, we'll see if it ends up in the goddamn neighbor's front door, but there's just nowhere to put it.
Right.
So I think it tails back into it's getting tougher to get from A to B. Really anything unless it's four-wheel drive. Even if it's four-wheel drive, if it doesn't have a lift, it doesn't have the right tires on it, doesn't have the right fucking equipment.
Right.
You can't do it, and you can't. And when you have children, and they're locked in the house, and they're fucking stir crazy, you're like, I need to have something that can get us the hell out of here. Otherwise, I will go stir crazy, and I will end up doing bad things. Yeah.
Go outside.
I will end up getting fired and doing a pod. No, that's actually real. That's actually happening.
Shit.
But no,
we be.
It's a very good time to be in and to talk to guys like Phil and Max Bilt and get in, find the vehicle, and then do what you want to it because you guys can fucking do it all. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. That was a good shameless plug there.
It was, you know? Yep. Don't pay me nothing for nothing over here.
Oh, we should double that then.
Well, thank you again for being a part of episode number 2, the Welcome to Cooperville podcast. Check out epicwillysadventures.com. This is the shit that you guys are doing. That's next level. It's badass.
Thank you.
It's complete badassery. By the way, the Welcome to Cooperville podcast, available where all podcasts are sold. If you listen to this, if you like it, make sure you throw a rating down. Also, subscribe to it so you get updates every time we do an episode. WelcomeToCooperville.com is the website. You can check out all the cool things we have going on. Photos from the studio, as well as an email list that we're adding on there, so you can get all the latest stuff. And if Phil leaves a couple extra stickers around, maybe we'll throw some of those up to the subscribers, because my mom wants one, and she's the only fucking person that signed up so far. So I feel good about it. And my kid, he can have one too. Welcome to Cooperville.
Well, he's got to pay for it, though.
He does. It's coming out of his fire alarm fund.
Perfect.
It's going to be sad for him. Welcome to Cooperville.com is the name of the website. We'll see you again next week.